Well, I was thinking about today's Christianity in general, what we might call modern Christianity. The beliefs and actions of Christians today are very different from those who followed Jesus Christ when he was here 2,000 years ago. I know that many Christians don't like the word evolution, but that's exactly what I believe the church has done over time. Christianity in general has evolved. Some might ask, well, just how the church has changed. Well, originally, Jesus and his disciples kept God's commanded holy days. They kept the weekly Sabbath day, beginning at sundown on Friday and ending on Saturday at sundown. They also kept the 7 annual holy days as given by our Creator in Leviticus 23. Now, in contrast, many in Christian churches today are even told that the commandments are done away with, and no longer need to be followed. Now, those that still keep the commandments, the vast majority of them do not keep all 10 of the 10 commandments, basically ignoring the 4th commandment completely, as well as many of the first 4. They no longer keep the Sabbath day holy as commanded in our Bibles and as Jesus and his disciples did. Most in modern Christianity today are actually completely unfamiliar with God's 7 annual holy days. So how did these and many other changes in the church come about? Well, today, I'd like to look at compromise in the church. Is compromise always something good? Is it always something bad? Or maybe it just depends on the specific compromise. What do we think about that? About compromise? Let's begin today by turning to Mark chapter 7, if you would. That's Mark chapter 7 and verse 6. That's Mark chapter 7, verse 6. And I know that many Christian churches today teach that all God's commandments have been done away with. They teach us that since we cannot keep them perfectly, we should not even try. I know one Protestant pastor I witnessed even went as far as to say that if we attempt to keep God's commandments today, that, well, we're being like those Pharisees that Jesus was always condemning. This pastor claimed that the reason Jesus was always condemning the Pharisees was that they were trying to keep God's commandments. But that's not true. Christ condemned the Pharisees for not keeping his commandments and rather coming up with their own traditions. Again, Mark 7, verse 6. Now here, Jesus is speaking concerning the Pharisees. He's speaking to them, and he's not condemning them for not following his commandments, though. Mark 7, verse 6, King James. He, Christ, he answered and said to them, well, has Isaiah prophesied of you, hypocrites, as it is written, this people honors me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. Howbeit in vain do they worship me, teaching for doctrines the commandments of men. Notice verse 7. For laying aside the commandment of God, in other words, for not keeping God's commandments, you hold the traditions of men, as the washing of pots and cups and many other such like things you do. And he said to them, full well you reject the commandment of God, that you may keep your own tradition. So even in Jesus' day, there were those who were not following the commandments. The Pharisees were adding to and taking away from God's commandments. Now, obviously, Christ was not pleased with them for this, just as he is not pleased with those who abandon his commandments today, or more so, those that might teach us to. But there are many Christian organizations that do teach us not to even try to keep the commandments of God. So overall, the Christian church indeed has evolved into something very different today than it was when Christ taught us. It didn't happen all at once. And some organizations have changed more than others. But in general, surely, but slowly, over time, the church, again in general, has made compromise after compromise with the world.